Welcome back to Caps Hockey Review. Back with you again, a rare 3-game edition of CHR. Plenty to discuss here. 3 straight losses for the Caps. We got plenty to unpack. We're going to get into all of it right here, right now. Caps Hockey Review. Let's go. And off we go. It is Caps Hockey Review, back with you again after a little bit of an absence, a rare 3-game edition of the vlog, the channel, whatever we want to say. For the Caps, I guess we'll start with New Jersey. It's been almost a week. It has been exactly a week, last Sunday. I think New Jersey and St. Louis, we can lump together as pretty bad. And I'll get more into the Minnesota game because I have a little bit more to discuss there. But for the Caps, we all know in a season you're going to come up against some adversity. It's not all going to be, clean. It's not all going to be easy going all the way through the season. Not everything's always going to go your way. That's just the way it goes. It's an 82-game season. You're going to have your bumps. You're going to have your downturns. Now they have to respond and they have to find a way out of this. They've had a ton of success so far through this early part of the season. I mean, even given, I've talked so much at length about injuries, illnesses. They've battled through all of this and they've had a ton of success when you consider all of it. All the young guys they've played, all the key pieces they've been missing. They've had a tremendous amount of success. Now, what's the reason for these losses? Honestly, I think maybe some of these young guys, it's the adrenaline from being in the show, and it might be wearing off a little bit. I mean, you get revved up for every game, you get juiced up for every game. That's not what I mean. I mean, you come into the NHL and look at playing your first game or playing your first few games in the league. There's got to be this, I don't know from experience, but I would imagine there's this huge adrenaline rush and there's this huge just wave that you ride. And maybe that's coming crashing down for a couple guys. We've seen, some of these guys like Scarbosa, Leeson, kind of more in and out of the lineup. They were, bigger contributors earlier on in the season. And I think maybe they're coming back down to earth a little bit. Hopefully they'll find it again. I have every belief that this team has the right pieces in the room to have success. But that's neither here nor there. Belief is one thing. The proof is on the ice, though. Oshie, Backstrom, missing again. They were in for a little bit of a stretch there, but illness, non-COVID illness, I'll note. It started with Lars Eller. It sounds like a flu going through the team. Started with Eller. We're up to Oshie and Backstrom now. Vanacek's on COVID protocol. It just keeps going. Good news. Finally, we seem to have a fully healthy D-core for the first time in a little while. So good news there, but obviously more changes to that forward group. Into New Jersey. Caps, you get off to a slow start. You get off to just these slow starts are killing this team. I mean, I've talked about so much too. They're a much better team and a much different team when they score first. And they didn't do that in Jersey. They got down, 3-1 at one point, and they've been making a lot of third period comebacks. That to me is troubling. And, just outside of Jersey, I mean, yes, they find a way to tie it. That's great. They get it to overtime. They get a point at least. But this has to change. I mean, the last couple weeks have been concerning. It's been, pretty up and down. One win, one loss, one win, one loss. They put together a couple wins in a row. But now they put together 3 losses in a row for the first time this season. And in fairness, and I'll get to it, they probably shouldn't have lost that game last night in Minnesota. But It's hockey. It's the way it bounces. Unfortunately, it doesn't always go your way. To finish New Jersey, this game was... I wasn't a big fan of it. And I can lump St. Louis in there too, saying these two games are games that you probably want to forget about. You just want to sweep it under the rug, maybe take a few things away from it, learn from it, and move forward. One note in here I will make: Connor McMichael, prized rookie, probably the most promising prospect in the Capitals system, has been with the team all year, but we've seen his ice time decline in the last few weeks. That's not to say he's playing bad, because analytics will tell you, I'm not a big analytics guy. I'm not big on all the numbers, but analytics and the eye test will tell you he is not playing bad hockey. He's generating chances. He's generating scoring opportunities. He's playing well in both ends of the ice. He's seen his ice time decline. This is a problem. And he got himself in the doghouse a little bit in New Jersey. He kind of got stapled to the bench, didn't see much ice in that game. And then healthy scratch against St. Louis. Now, for me, being kind of a longer time Caps fan, not as long as some, but certainly longer than others, this makes me nervous when I start seeing young guys get benched and then healthy scratched, because as I've talked about, this team, this organization has not been the most diligent about getting their young guys into the fold and getting them involved and making sure, giving them the confidence and giving them the tools to compete at the NHL level. So seeing another young guy get stapled to the bench and then healthy scratched made me real nervous. I'm like, oh boy, is Laviolette sour on this guy? What is happening? Well, it turns out, I think a chance for him to reset a little bit. He's been a little bit quiet these last week or two, and I think it was a good opportunity. I mean, I think the benching in New Jersey was due to some play on the ice, but the healthy scratch in St. Louis, and I know I'm lumping New Jersey and St. Louis in here, both games sucked from a Caps standpoint, so I'm just going to roll with it as it is. For McMichael, in that St. Louis game, getting the healthy scratch, this is sometimes you see coaches do it, and I think it's a chance for these guys to hit the reset button a little bit, and it gets you, I don't know how to put this, maybe get you out of the grind for a day or two and let you refocus. And also, watching the game from the press box, being in the building, watching the game from up high can be hugely beneficial to these young guys. Maybe if they're not playing the system as effectively as they could, and maybe they're making some mistakes, and seeing kind of what they need to be doing from up high like that can be hugely beneficial. So great job getting this guy right back in against the Wild last night. Not punishing him, not making him sit for a week, but just hit the reset button and then get right back to it. I like that. Give him, let him learn a lesson here. Have him sit, figure it out, but get him right back in. I like that. You don't want him to sit too long. You don't want him to sit and dwell on it. You want to get him right back in the fold and back to what he's doing. And he scored in Minnesota. So good things there. We'll get there in a minute. But for the Caps in these two games, Jersey, St. Louis, I don't like it. I talked about the Jersey game, getting off to a slow start and just not really finding your footing until the third period. It's concerning because we saw so much of this these last couple years. And I'm starting to get a little concerned that we may be seeing this pattern again. You get off to a great start, a scorching start, and then it just kind of tapers off from there. You never really find that level again. I hope that doesn't happen this year. They need to find a way out of this, and they need to find a way to play that best hockey going into, February and March and April. So moving to St. Louis primarily, I know I kind of dusted over the Jersey game, and I'm probably going to dust over the St. Louis game too, because there's not much positive to pull out of it. And I'm not going to sit here and tear this team to pieces because it does no good. this this game in St. Louis, Caps got off to a good start. Get the first goal. I mean, you give one up. You go to the second period tied. And then the wheels come off late in the second period. The Caps started the game really well. I don't know what happened in the second and third period, though, because they didn't maintain that level. And for this group, we've seen this far too often, and it's becoming an issue again. For Samsonov, I mean, oh my gosh, he took one here. I mean, this is about as ugly of a loss as you can take that we've seen this season. I mean, and these trends that I kept saying, I hope this is a one-off, or I hope this is a one and done type deal. These quick strike goals, just getting 2-3 goals scored on you in a matter of a couple minutes. It keeps happening. It keeps happening. This team has to figure it out. They have to hit that reset button, and they have to get back on the attack when you give up a goal. And they didn't do that. They let, one goal turn into 3. So you go to the third period down 4-1. They didn't have much to offer. St. Louis tacks on an empty netter. I'm telling you, this right now is probably the most important part of this season, because yes, you still have guys hurt. I'm convinced we are never going to see a fully healthy lineup for this group this season. I mean, it's just been one thing after another after another. You can't control that. And, it sucks. It sucks because you have teams every night who seem to be icing fully healthy lineups through all this COVID stuff and through everything else. And the Caps certainly have not been one of those. Plenty of other teams in the league have had the same issues as the Caps, but I don't know that to this extent. I mean, you finally get all 6D guys back. Now we're missing Chr Nj again. Vanacek's out. So this is continuing to be a problem. And the injury, the illness problem, I don't see it going away. So they're going to have to find a way to work out of this. And I know there's no panic in this locker room. All these 90% of the players in this room have been around the league a long time, and they know that you can't dwell on a couple losses. You just have to look to the next day and keep working hard, and eventually the momentum's going to shift your way. Great. But that doesn't help how we feel right now. And I get it. Maybe we're a little bit selfish as fans sometimes, but it's the nature. I think it's the nature of being a fan of a sports franchise. So what do we expect to see? And I guess I'll jump to Minnesota before I get to what we expect. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Pardon me while I adjust the lid, folks. Minnesota. Caps played a great game. I mean, if anything, if we need an encouraging sign, a positive sign out of these 3 games, this Minnesota game is it. Because this team played a fantastic game. And yes, they still lost, which sucks. And it's as probably unconsoling as it is in the locker room to say, guys, you deserve to win this hockey game. When you don't, it sucks. It sucks to play that well and have you just come up short. You can look at the positive. You can say at least they didn't get blown out. At least they played much better than they had in the previous 2. That's great. But I know, obviously, we'd all like it to come away with a win. Of course, the guys on the ice would absolutely have loved for this game to end in a win. Connor McMichael. I said I'd get back to him, and I have. Scores the Caps' first goal in this game, so it looks like maybe that reset strategy worked for him. Good game overall, and like I said, everybody on the ice played a great game. I mean, Hagelin had the one gaff, and it sucks that makes the difference in this game being a 1-goal game, but own goal in the second period, puck goes into an empty net while the Caps are 6-on-5 on a delayed penalty for the Wild. Damn. I mean, that's one of those things that is just, it's so disappointing, and it's just such a kick in the nuts. I mean, this team's playing so well. You're up 2-0. You're looking at going to another power play and you score an own goal. Doesn't happen very often. I mean, Hagelin, I mean, you could see the guys on the bench were giving him, a pat on the shoulder. I think it was Scott Arneal leans down and whispers in his ear, pats him on the back. And, you got to believe. I mean, they're saying it's okay. Don't worry about it. Shit happens. It could happen to any one of us. And it's unfortunate. I hope he's not hanging his head too much today. That's definitely a tough way to lose a hockey game. It wasn't the deciding goal, so I guess technically it didn't decide the game. The Wild we go to the third period. Caps, Zach Fucale. I'll get more to him after this. Gets the net for the Caps on second half of back-to-backs. Vitek Vanacek is unavailable, so you turn to this guy. Had a shutout in his NHL debut back in, I believe it was October, maybe November. The months are kind of running together a little bit. Earlier in the season, made his NHL debut, had a shutout. Haven't seen him since. So he's getting back in here. And what does he do? Plays fantastic. The Wild find a way to get it tied with about 30 seconds to go. 6-on-5. They're a very experienced team at 6-on-5. They've played almost 40 minutes of 6-on-5 play this season. So you can tell they're comfortable with the goalie pull. That's a position that obviously teams don't like to be in, and a position you don't want to get comfortable with, but certainly it helps if you have that opportunity and you can find ways to win games and get games tied late by doing it. So you give up the game-tying goal. Zach Fucale, he had no chance on that one. It was a heck of a screen. He didn't see it till the last second, and he still got a huge chunk of it, just not enough to keep it out of the net. Unfortunate. We go to overtime, no winners. Overtime for the Caps. Goodness gracious. I don't know what's worse. 3-on-3 they've struggled at. The shootout they've struggled with. They've hit so many posts in the shootout, so many near misses in the shootout. But obviously, you want to end games in regulation, but it would behoove the Caps to not have these games get to overtime. They are not good in extra time this year. Be it sudden death, be it shootout, they just can't get it done, it seems. And I've talked about it. They have so many skilled guys, and it just doesn't seem to work. Had some chances, but unfortunate. Fucale made a heck of a save early, right off the opening draw in overtime. The Wild go right down the ice, get a 2-on-1. Might be the save of the year. This guy is so impressive. He's done nothing but impress me, and I think every other Caps fan since he's been in the fold. Now the question. Caps drop it in the shootout. They lose 2-0, I guess, in the shootout if we want to keep score there. Technically in the loss. Okay, first Wild goal is an own goal. Obviously, Fucale allows a second one. He is allowed one goal that actually gets note of record. He is allowed one goal in 125 minutes. That is really, really good. We all, shut out to make your NHL debut. It's a great story. It's fantastic for him. But the question is okay, it's one game, but then he follows it up. This game was fantastic. So the question we have to ask, and I see it floating around on social media last night and this morning, this guy needs to be in the game more often for the Caps. Well, that presents a problem for this team. With all the injuries, I don't think we're going to see any trades, all the illness. Nobody is getting traded. I can just about guarantee anybody that, unless you're trading it for a player or something like that. Your depth for any team that's going to make a push this year, depth is going to be the key. So we're not going to see any players go anywhere in all likelihood. This is the tough question, and this is, these are the questions that coaches and GMs are paid to answer or make decisions regarding. do you give Fucale another chance? Do you take a risk and put Vanacek on the taxi squad? I certainly don't think he's earned his way to the taxi squad. I think he's played well. Obviously, Samsonov's not going anywhere. He's had a bit of a rough stretch, but if you look at his season as a whole, he's been really good. I said in the previous video, I am very surprised by how well he's played, and I was in the thought that this is going to be his last year as a Capital, and now it looks like it absolutely will not be his last year as a Capital, provided they can reach a deal when this one expires at the end of the year. This is not the time to talk about that. It's just, I guess it's a good problem to have. I mean, we've talked about having 2 good goalies, but 3? This is the tough question, because obviously Samsonov is the guy they want, and he's proven himself to be the starter. Okay, that's all well and good, but you have Vanacek over here, who's has NHL experience, certainly more than Fucale does at this point, but we haven't seen much of him lately, and he's kind of been up and down in those couple starts we've seen. And see, this is the question. I don't know the answer to this. I wish I did. In all likelihood, I don't think we're going to see Fucale on a regular basis unless there's injury or illness to another goalie. It's unfortunate. I mean, he's played so well, but I just don't think you can justify sticking Vanacek on the taxi squad and, making him essentially the third string guy based on 2 games of work. 2 very good games of work. All credit where the credit is due to Fucale for these performances. He's been great. I mean, he didn't see a ton of shots, but making over 20 saves in the effort. I mean, I can't say enough good things about the things he's done in net for the Caps, and that's what makes this so tough. But when you look at the body of work as a whole, I think Vanacek has maybe earned the right to stick around a little more, but who knows? Obviously, this decision is not mine to make, so we'll have to wait and see what Laviolette or McClellan, obviously I think it's going to be Laviolette or the goalie coach, whoever makes that determination, but Fucale has been fantastic, and it's, if nothing else, it's comforting to know that they have a third guy who's extremely capable of playing in the NHL. Phoenix Copley is also kind of in the minor system. We know he has NHL experience as well. So a lot of questions right now for the Caps, I think, would be, if we had to summarize this whole little session we've had here in about 1 sentence or less, we have a lot of questions and not very many answers. We have a team that's kind of hitting the skids lately. We want to know, how are they going to respond? Are they going to pull out of this? Are they going to be different than they have been the last couple of years with hitting this swoon and this downward spiral late in the season? We have to wait and see. Is the goalie situation going to get any clearer? Is Fucale going to take Vanacek's spot? We don't know. We have to wait and see. That's kind of the nature of sports sometimes. I think we'll get, Vanacek still on COVID protocol. So it's very likely, I think we'll see Fucale at least dress on Monday for the game against the Bruins. Obviously, I think it will be Samsonov's net. As I think this is a nice transition point, getting into what we're looking ahead to. Obviously, Monday, I just said it. Boston Bruins make a visit to the district, Capital One Arena. This is an interesting game. The Bruins are a tough team, but they're struggling a little bit this year. They're having a bit of a tough time. The Caps having a bit of a tough time lately. I think this is going to be a really interesting game. I think it's going to be a really, really hard-fought game. It always is between these two. I think we're going to see a lot of hits. I think we're going to see a lot of gritty play. Maybe some pretty goals. There's a ton of skill on both of these teams, of course. And then we have quite a few days off. I believe it's Saturday will be the Caps' next game. 6 days from now. 2 games in about a 5-day span. That's not ideal. I mean, these guys like to stay on their routine a little bit, but maybe these breaks will get some guys healthy. I say that every time they have a break in the schedule, and it's more time for guys to get sick or more time for guys to get hurt, it seems. We're not, for everyone that gets healthy, we're getting 2 more out. So I'm going to shut up with that. Islanders. Islanders on Saturday, next Saturday. That'll be a big one. Barry Trotz, of course, knows these Caps really well. The Caps know the Islanders really well. Again, I would not expect a high-scoring game here. Trotz never has this Islanders team play that way. They play to win every game 2-1, and the Caps are going to have to find a way to come out on the right side of that. So, looking for this team to correct this little tailspin they're in. Hopefully we see it against the Bruins, and then they can continue it against the Islanders. These are two pretty good tests, two solid opponents for this team to get back on track. We need to right the ship, and we need to start kind of climbing back to that peak level again. They were really, really good at the beginning of the season. They've dipped, and now they need to start kind of finding their way out and making their way back to the top. That's what we're looking for. Hopefully we'll get some clarity to all these questions that we want to know the answers to. Unfortunately, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully next time I will have more answers than questions for you. But until then, go Caps.